This is an SM Media production. Hi everyone, welcome to episode 8 of SM Media's Road to Cheltenham. I'm Scott McPike, delighted to be here again, joined as always by Callum McClurkin. Callum, very, very busy week ahead. We've had bad news over the weekend, obviously with restrictions, but what would we do if we didn't have the racing to look forward to?
Exactly, yeah. It's a shame that the Irish can't come over and we can't go over there, but at least we've got racing in some form, so we've got to take what you get.
Definitely. Well, we'll make a wee start. We'll just start off with, we got a few questions for some viewers over the past few days. Mark Mackay asked, the first question he asked is, the novice handicap chase was axed to bring in the mare's chase. What race would you have got rid of, and do you think this was the right decision? Callum, we'll start with you with that. We've obviously spoke about it before at the start of the series, but what do you kind of think now about it?
Yeah, I still very much feel the same about it. I think they axed the wrong race. I would have got rid of the Kim Muir for me. The last race on the Thursday over 3 mile 1. I don't think it does a lot. I think it's a bit of an afterthought, to be honest. The novice handicap was a race I quite liked. I thought the 0 to 145 it gave certain novices a chance in the big stage, even if they weren't quite ready for one of the big 3 races, I think. And this season, I think, highlights a lot of that. We've got 3 quite warm favourites already in Monkfish, Envoy Allen and Shishken, obviously. So what you're supposed to do if you're a novice that's kind of developing a wee bit later than those 3 are, you have to either go and take them on when you know you're going to get beat or go elsewhere. I like, and it's also thrown up some kind of decent winners recently. Imperial Aura obviously being one,
Appletard as well,
And Appletard, would they have improved as much if they didn't have that novice handicap route? If they had.
Just a couple more. Paddy Connolly asked, do you give St Calvados a chance in the King George? It goes well fresh and 25 to 1 could be a massive price. I don't know. I think the King George, it looks as if it's going to, the top of the market's going to dominate. We're going to preview it later on, but I would say we'd need to run a big race. Obviously, he's got the Ryanair to look at as a form guideline, but I would say probably he's just going to find 1 or 2 too good. What do you think?
Maybe. I think he's on to something though. I'll never shy away for a 25 to 1 chance in any sort of race. We're obviously going to look at the race deeper. St Calvados is the outsider that I am most interested in. I would give him a chance at a price. He was overlooked in the Ryanair, and he might well be overlooked here. He's only £4 officially rated inferior to Clandy Obo. So
right, okay.
It's the trip that worries me the most about him. He's never been tried over 3 miles. Obviously, he's running champion chases and stuff like that over 2 miles, Arkles, etc. A lot of horses that go to Kempton think it's an easy 3 miles. It's flat. It's a speed orientated track, but it's still 3 miles at the end of the day, and you still need to prove that you have to stay it. Footpad didn't last year, for instance. So, we'll see. If you're not concerned by the stamina doubt, he is of interest at a price. It's a good angle to have, I think.
Final question from Callum McPike, who's my brother. He says, what is your all-time favourite Christmas memory? Now, I'm going to start with you, Callum, because I've got 2 very specific ones here, but I'll start with
you. I think mine was Silviniaco Conti winning the King George.
Yeah.
At long last. I think he was very good. I do think that the last 2 King George that Clandeboe has won have collapsed a little bit. I think when you had the likes of Q-Card, Silviniaco Conti, quite a few of them, Q-Card, Silviniaco Conti, Don Cossack as well fell. He had real good kind of 3 or 4 top class 3 milers, potentially going Gold Cup trip route as well. I think that was probably the memory that sticks out the most, I think.
Yeah, I've got 2, so I'm going to start off. My first one was the 2015 King George was the race between Don Cossack, Vautour and Q-Card. Now, back then I was the biggest Vautour fan, and this was the time I was buzzing to see him go 3 miles, and he just get pipped in line by Q-Card. But the ending to that race, I would say, was up there with the best I can remember ever. And my second one was a couple of years before in the Saviles Chase. It was then the Lexus. It was 2013. Do you remember the race between Fleming Star, First Lieutenant and Tidal Bay?
Not really, no.
Oh,
no.
I was only... It was a long time ago, and I just remember Fleming Star was the big talking horse at the time. He was going to be the next Gold Cup horse, and just get beat by First Lieutenant and Tidal Bay, Ruby Walsh and Tidal Bay. If you ever want to watch a ride from a jockey giving a horse one of the best rides ever, then that was that race. The 2013 Lexus Chase, Tidal Bay getting up to beat Fleming Star and First Lieutenant. They were my two favourite Christmas memories, and that was our questions this week. We'll move on to the recap, where we'll look back on the previous week's action. We'll start off on Friday in Navan. A few to mention. We'll start off with Bobollinger. He won a 2 mile 4 maiden hurdle into 10-1 for the Ballymore. Was impressive. The only thing I would say is his jumping would need to pick up. Obviously, I've got him at quite a good bet. I've got him at 25-1 to win any race at the festival. It's now looking pretty good for him to certainly be up at the top of the market for the Ballymore. So I thought it was good. I thought his jumping would need to improve. What did you kind of take away from it, Callum?
It's good to get rid of your main tag as soon as possible. Obviously, bumped into Fairley Hollow first time out, who's sadly going to be out for the season. That looked good form at the time. He was 1-8 on to win, so
it was.
I don't think a lot of people learn much, but he did what he was entitled to do. He handles various types of ground. I think he's a faster horse than a lot of people give him credit for. I think he could handle himself in the Supreme.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't mark him down as Ballymore or bust, to be honest. I would say that the Supreme, if Bally Adam, for instance, doesn't fire over Christmas, Supreme's a quite an open race.
Yeah.
And if appreciated it does go the Ballymore route and is maybe the best novice hurler about at the moment, then Bobollinger could easily just let's dodge him. I think we've got enough pace to go the Supreme route. He's got plenty of options. I think he's a smart horse, and I'd be happy if we were sitting on him. Fancy prices for any race at the moment.
I'd say he's one of the captains of the ship. But we'll move on to Ashdale Bob. Won a 2 mile 5 novices hurdle. Now I want to get your thoughts on this because you had a very keen interest in this race. It beat Fakira, but the main talking point I would say was the two market leaders, Fighter Allen and Holy Macapone, both pulled up. What do you kind of think? What kind of happened there, do you think?
Very puzzling, because Holy Macapone travelling around the bend looked to be travelling very sweetly.
Yes.
Looked to be coming with a winning run at one point and then just went out like a light for some reason. Trainer Henry de Bromhead was equally bemused. They haven't found anything yet about him. He seems okay, which is a positive. He's obviously drifted out to about 25, 33-1 in places. But it is a race that 20 to won the field now.
Yeah, it's opened up. But really,
if you can forgive him it, and he comes out next time out and proves himself, then he's all of a sudden back in the thick of it again. So
yeah, we definitely need to see him again.
Yeah, I'm not as downhearted as I was. He's only 4, turning 5 as well, so give him a bit of time to come over it, and we'll see. Hopefully he's okay. Fighter Allen as well, kind of funnily enough, did exactly the same.
Yeah, it was strange. It was just a strange race. Yeah,
and then he did the same thing about 200 yards later. That was a strange one. The winner won well.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I was very, very impressed. I don't know if I would say is he potentially a Bartlett horse or is he a Ballymore horse? It's tough to say now.
Yeah, it's probably Albert Bartlett at the moment. The second was coming home faster than anything else. Fakira, Ellis. He's probably an Albert Bartlett type as well. There's a lot of unconvincing performances in behind it. Esky Lane, his
he's been very disappointing. Yeah,
quite something there. He's looked sky half the time. I think the way he races, it's quite odd.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've got Holy Macapone for the bar. I've got Ngolo, obviously, he didn't run here, but I'm thinking now with Fairley Hall out, is Ngolo potentially a Supreme horse?
It's hard to judge.
Aye.
He's getting an entry at Christmas over 2 miles as well and go.
Yeah.
You think you'd want further sooner rather than later. But when they start out at 2, normally they'll go up gradually to 2.5. A jump from 2 miles to 3 miles is quite extreme for a novice in mid-season. So
yeah,
I always kind of thought he was a bit of a Ballymore horse myself.
Definitely. We'll move on to Sir Gerhard. Won the bumper race, 5-2 now, favourite for the champion bumper. I think this horse is the real deal. I think he's potentially looking rock solid. Obviously, I've got Kilcroot for the bumper, but I would say this is the massive danger to that. But Gordon Elliott said he's going straight to Dublin Racing Festival, then the Cheltenham Festival. What do you think Sir Gerhard's a real deal?
Yeah, I think he probably is. He was very good. He was in trouble around the bend a little bit. Jamie Codd shunted him along. He responded really well for pressure. He probably didn't like the ground being as heavy as it was.
Yeah.
In fact, he still overcame it and pulled away from a decent rival, and let's be clear about it, I think. Very impressive. He's definitely the right favourite. Whether you want to back him at 11-4 at this stage, when there are good bumper horses under. There might be a bit more depth to it than there was last year. He's good, and he is very Envoy Allen mould. He won that race as well in his bumper year.
Yeah, I think they're going the same kind of journey with him, aren't they? Dublin Race Festival, then Cheltenham. Yeah.
I watched Envoy Allen's run in that race and compared it to Sir Gerhard's, and I was more impressed with Sir Gerhard's.
It was his turn of foot towards it. I would say it was kind of not travelling brilliant towards kind of 3/4 of the way, but the last kind of half 3 furlongs, it was unbelievable. Just his turn of foot, and Jamie Codd just said go, and he just went. It was brilliant. Beat a very good horse as well. Let's be clear about it. Isn't a bad horse. Like he's a potentially good chance as well for the bumper if he goes there. Like it could potentially be in the first 3, but I'm not totally sold on Sir Gerhard being 5-2 just now. I would say it's probably too short, but it's certainly the best bumper horse we've seen. But I'm still happy with my 10-1 for Kilcroot.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I'd never run away for a horse. Simple as that. For a race like that, I just thought coming round the bend, I think he was just spinning in the mud initially, and then he got to grips with it and he handled it quite well.
Yeah.
Spring ground, I think he'd probably be an even better horse.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Right, some people to think.
Yeah, definitely. 2 to mention at Ascot on Friday. My Drogo won the Supreme Trial. Kept on pretty well. 20-1 for the Supreme now. The Skelton team have been in terrific form, and this is probably their best chance for the Supreme. I was impressed. I thought he ran well.
Yeah, he did, because he's not really the typical frame for a Supreme horse.
Yeah.
He's massive. He's an absolute chaser, and he's a chaser in the making for sure. Skelton's, I think, realise that and are going to go very, very slowly with him, mind him along, and then predictably said that Cheltenham is not the be all and end all.
Yeah.
So he might dodge it altogether, but it's a race already threatening to cut up ever so slightly.
Yeah.
So he'd be a bit disappointed if he didn't go and take his chance, because he seems to have a fair chance at it. Was it a strong race in behind? I'm not entirely convinced.
Nah, I thought so.
The way he did it, held up the hill well. He'd probably get further in time as well.
Yeah.
So it was a good enough performance.
We'll move on to All That. Won his opening race over fences, jumped poor for most of the race, but from 4 out, it was very, very good to watch. Picked up well, beat Fiddle on the Roof very readily. 16-1 for the Marsh. I would say probably between him and Protectorat, it's probably one of the best performances for a British horse over fences in a novice campaign so far this season. Would you go along with that?
Yeah, it was a good performance. Given I had money on him on the day, after the first circuit, I was thinking, pull him up. This is murder to watch.
Yeah.
He's diving at everything, but in credit to him, the further he went, the better he looked. His jump at the last was very impressive. To beat Fiddle on the Roof, who had his ground, had his conditions today, no excuse. He ran quite well. I think I'm a bit surprised that nobody's really mentioning RSA with Alap because
potentially,
because he was getting better the further it was going. He looked comprehensively outpaced early on. I know he ran in a supreme. We've seen Chantry House do something quite similar, where he's looked really outpaced as well. He was taking out his comfort zone early on, jumping wise. But all that was threatening to do likewise, and then he found quite well at the end. I certainly wouldn't go back and trip him.
No.
Entertain stablemate Shishken. I think that'll be confidently ruled out. The Marsh is an obvious race, but I'm surprised that bookmakers aren't really putting him up for the RSA at all. And
potentially.
I think don't think he'd be a million miles away from that. He could get it in time, but yeah, it was a good enough performance. Pulled away from Fiddle the Roof well enough, and you'd have to think he'll improve his jumping as well as he goes on.
Definitely. We'll move on to the big race on Saturday, the Long Walk Hurdle. Time Hill, Paisley Park, Roxana. Discuss.
A fantastic race, wasn't
Brilliant, wasn't it? Loved it.
What National Hunt Game is all about. It's magnificent to watch. There's still not a lot of difference between Time Hill and Paisley Park, isn't there? Paisley Park gets shuffled back at an important point in the race. I think Roxana kind of denied him a run through the rail, and Ian Coleman, I think, was going to be kicking himself if he didn't get up. In the end, it was Richard Johnson kicking himself. Didn't quite get Time Hill home to see off Paisley Park, and Roxana ran really well as well. I was a bit surprised by her. Bold effort. She had every chance coming up the last, but yeah, it was just a high quality race with a brilliant finish. Yeah.
How much credit does Emma Lavelle deserve for getting Paisley Park back to that kind of form?
A lot of credit, yeah. You think smaller stables, you do, punters can be quite cynical at times, and you do kind of have something in the back of your mind going, well, this trainer doesn't have a lot of high class, so are they going to go back? We've seen it time and time again before that they don't, but when they do, it's really great to watch. And there was certainly nothing wrong with his heart that weekend. That was for sure. That was a brilliant performance. It really was. Staying on it. It was 4 nights down at the last.
Yeah, it was a typical Paisley Park. It was just, it screamed out the year he won the Stairs Hurdle. Just it was beat for the corner and then just turning in, just found that gear that very few horses have. I wouldn't be put off with Time Hill in the slightest. I think the better stair just won on the day, but I think it'll be, obviously Time Hill's going to go straight to the festival, we believe. Paisley Park will probably run again in the Cleve, but the Stairs is turning into a great race on paper so far. We're going to have a big clue of this at the Stairs Hurdle this week in the Ireland, when we're going to see the likes of Sire de Berlay, Ronald Pump and Fury Road all turning up against each other. That'll be very good. But 11-4 Paisley Park for the Stairs, Time Hill 72. I'm looking forward to seeing them again. I can't separate them just now. They both had won each. I'm looking forward to the third one.
Yeah, they are hard to separate because you have to think Paisley Park will find Stay All Day. There could be a bit more improvement. Obviously, Time Hill, if he learns to settle a little bit, maybe jump a bit slicker at key moments.
I think he's maybe just too careful over his hurdles. I think that's maybe the one thing with Time Hill.
He races just a bit too keenly, maybe.
Yeah.
And he travels really smoothly, which is fair, unusually a bit of a negative. The thing about, if you want to take Paisley Park at 72 for this race right now, I wouldn't, as an Ante Post Pick. You'd probably see 72 in the exchanges in play when he's running round for the home turn when he hits his flat spot. That's going to back.
Yeah, definitely. But we'll move on to the final race on Sunday. Was Thurles, and this was probably my most impressed. I was most impressed with this horse probably the whole weekend. Galwa, now into 6-1 for the Mares Novice Hurdle. I've tipped she wears it well for this race, and I'm beginning to think I've tipped the wrong horse, because this horse was unbelievable. I thought she was amazing.
She was very impressive, and she's now the right favourite, isn't she?
Yeah.
Who knows what the ceiling is to her? An ominous sign. I think it might definitely probably probably just about the number one till she wears it well right
Yeah,
now.
I think I mean, I was more taken aback by this performance than I was to she wears it well. So I think I've maybe get this wrong, but we'll see in time. But I was very impressed with that. Any other horses that we've missed that we can just want to mention, Carl?
No, really. No,
No, really.
I think
Right.
we'll call it.
Let's do it. And that was our recap for the week. We'll move on to our special preview this week. We're not going to do a preview for a race at the festival. We have got many other races to mention this week alone, so we're just going to cover as many races as we can over the Christmas period. We'll start off with the big race of the full 4 days. It's going to be the King George Chase at Kempton. Callum, it's a pretty open race, and I'm just going to go through the first 4 in the market, and we're going to basically look at who we think's going to win here. Suriname 74, Clandazobo 15-8. Santini was supplemented and is in at 13-2. I'm going to get your thoughts on that. Lost in Translation 7-1, and it's 10-1 bar. What do you think? What do you think? First of all, Santini getting supplemented. What's going on there?
I just think they want to run him. They can't. The Henderson team can't get Champ to Ireland.
Yeah.
And I think there might have been an owner's debate there, and I think Champ might have. GP McManus has probably won it because he'd probably go Cotswold Chase now.
Yeah.
Where does Santini go? Well, we've already ran him at an unsuitable Aintree. Why not run him at an unsuitable Kempton?
Yeah.
£5,000 supplementary fee. Some people think it's a waste. If you finish in the top 4, you're at least going to get back. He's capable of doing that. Stay on, third or fourth, something like that. But yeah, if Aintree's not going to suit, Kempton's definitely not going to suit. No. And I don't think I'll be backing him in the day. But he deserves a bit of respect, and he adds a stamina element to the race.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting if they're 3 in a line going to the last fence. Santini will win, but again, is he going to get there in front of the likes of Suriname and Clandazobo? Where do you stand? Where do you think the winner's coming from?
I'm in the surname camp this time around. He's got to do it this year for me.
Yeah.
The highest rated horse. I want to see him win a genuine top class Grade 1 race. And this is it. And this is his proving ground now. There's no excuses. Didn't have a hard race. Didn't have that much of a hard race last time. He didn't have a dust up with Altior over 2 mile 5 and deep ground at Ascot.
Yeah.
Won a handicap relatively on the bridle at Wetherby in the Charlie Hall. That form has been well enough advertised by the likes of I Wright.
Yeah.
This proved that he could stay 3 miles for a start, which is a positive. He likes Kempton. He's won round there before. I know he bombed out last year, but you have to think that the Altior run was the excuse for that. He's developed again. He's the highest rated horse. He's the highest rated horse in the field, and I think this time he's got to go out and prove it. Because if he doesn't, I think a lot of people will be disappointed, including myself.
I'm not gonna disagree with you in surname, but I'm gonna go for Clandazobo, and I thought his run in the Betfair Chase was very, very good. I think he'll improve on that. This is his Gold Cup, Clandazobo. This is the race he's aimed at every year. I don't even know if who's gonna be the jockey. I'd imagine. I don't even know who it will be.
Sam Twiston Davis.
Is it going to be Sam? So I think it's down to if Suriname. I don't think Suriname will. I think Suriname will improve on his run. I think he's certainly better than he was last year. I think you're right on that. But Clandazobo has been the past 2 years of this race. He's turned up at the right time, and I think it's going to be the same this year. I wouldn't put MD off Lost in Translation at 7-1, but he will massively need to improve his jumping, and he'll need to travel better. But I'm siding with Clandazobo, and you're going with Surname, so we're pretty much covered there. What do we kind of think about the kind of rest of the races in Boxing Day? We've got the Christmas Huddle. Is this just a formality for Epatont?
Yeah, should win. It's the usual rivals, isn't it? The usual suspects. Goshen's entered. I'd like to see him just bowl out from the front at Kempton. Let's make it a proper speed test. But I can't see any way that Epatont gets beat apart from somehow if she beats herself, like fall or something.
I think 4-11 is probably the right price. The Cheltenham Novices Chase is another race on Boxing Day where we're going to see Shan Blue in the big breakaway, kind of 5-2, 7-2. I'm in the big breakaway camp here. I think this is his chance to get back on track.
I'm in the Shan Blue camp, so I think his superior jump, I think, will put him under pressure, and I think he's been totally laid out for this from.
Yeah, potentially.
So
I think the big breakaway. I think I take more out the first run at Cheltenham as opposed to the second run. I think the second run was too short, bit laboured. I think he's going to bounce back from this, and I think this is. It certainly will be 12-1 for the RSA if he wins this comfortably. And
it's people are saying it's quite a good way. I think it's a bit weak for the nature of it.
I don't think it's below these two. There's another contender. If the cat fits, is a 4-1. I don't know if he's going to definitely turn up, but I think the big breakaway is probably the best bet of the week for me.
Yeah, no, I think I'll be in Shan Blue for that. I do think the big breakaway has more potential, probably.
Yeah.
But I something about him, I just can't trust him fully yet.
Yeah, we'll move on to the Racing Post Novices Chase at Leopardstown on Boxing Day. We are looking at the likes of Energamine, Felix Deji and Darver Star. I love Energamine. I just don't know, is 2 mile going to be quick? Is it going to be quick enough for 2 mile? I think Felix DG, I think it just screams out that he's going to just lead, and I think I'm in the Felix DG camp here, and I think he's just going to be the front runner. I think he's just going to pick up the race that way.
Yeah, I think this might be one that we agree on. The big difference for Felix Deji is going left-handed.
Yes.
Going left-handed here, that's a massive bonus to him. Energamine, he could win this feasibly, but I think the ground is going to be pretty decent there actually by all accounts. The Leopardstown, I think they're watering.
Yeah, I think it's good to yield it. I think
So it's a totally different assignment from 2.5 mile on soft ground round Gowran for him. So yeah, I would edge towards Felix Deji in that race at the moment.
No, last race to mention in Boxing Day, we've got the Faugheen Novices Chase at Limerick. We saw the epic duel between Faugheen and Sam Crow last year. I think a steering for Longe is about 13-8. I think if there's a race suited for a steering for Longe, it's right-handed, and it's within a field. It's not a big field. I think this race could be the one for him.
Yeah, I think he'll be odds on the day, and you'd expect him to win. I think he's got a huge engine. I think so. Yeah. For that.
Yeah, we'll move on to the 27th. We've got the Desert Orchid, where we'll see the return. We'll definitely see the return this time of Altior. Now, we thought Put the Kettle On was going to turn up here against Altior, which would have made it very interesting, but obviously the travel ban's put a stop to that. Altior 4-7. Do you think he's nailed on here?
I think he will probably win. I don't think it's absolutely nailed on because he's up against Duke de Ginevra, who wasn't far away from Put the Kettle On in the Schlur Chase earlier on this season. So he's not, and he's entitled to improve for that because that was his reappearance. And it's on a speed track as well. If the Duke de Ginevra, we know what he's going to do. He's just going to try and pull out and make all. If he does steal about 20 length lead or something like that, Altior will probably quickly realise that nothing will drag him into the race. Might have to make up the ground all by himself. He's also a horse that people think shapes as if he wants a wee bit further. If Duke de Ginevra can poach a massive lead early on, can somehow find a breather as well and maintain the gallop to the line, it will ask Altior 1 or 2 questions. I still think he'll win though, but it might be more of an interesting race than people think if Duke de Ginevra can make a race of it from the front.
I think it'll be very interesting as well, but I'm going to say Altior will win. Altior will win. He'll probably just chase home Duke de
Ginevra gets £6 as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it could be very interesting. The Wayward Lads, another race at Kempton on the 27th, where we will see Shishken back over fences, 1-4. Not much to beat. I think he's just going to stake his claim even further.
He should win. Ball was in a duel with Eldorado Allen last time out, and he's let down that form previously at Sandown, hasn't he? Eldorado Allen. So, I think Gumball just probably, again, he'll be a pace target, I think, for Shishkin. I'd expect him to pick him up without any mishap and go on and win, and he might be odds on in the new year for the Arkle.
We've got a couple of races at Chepstow. We'll mention the Welsh National quickly. I think Secret Reprieve, it's 10-3, very well handicapped. I think he's rock solid. Are you getting any kind of anything for the Welsh National?
No, not really, but I'd be keen to take him on.
Would you?
I mean, 10-3 for a Welsh National. Like, the Native River won it. He's no Native River. He won the trial over 3 miles. And 3 miles to 3 miles 6 on heavy ground. It's 6 furlongs further. He's a young 6-year-old. He's never been that far before. It's inexperienced for a race like this. No, he's unexposed, but stamina worry for me is blatant to see. And Evan Williams has mentioned that he's taking his down a little bit in trust.
Yeah.
You need a cast iron horse here for that. The other Williams horse is Prime Venture. It's about 14-1. He might run quite well. The two Amigos as well tends to run quite well. He's a bit similar price, so I think I'll be taking a couple against the favourite on the day, and those are the two that I've kind of got my eye on at the moment.
I've got a strong fancy in the juvenile huddle at Chepstow. I'm going for Nasalam with Jamie Moore, for Gary and Jamie Moore. 4-5. I think it was very, very impressive the first time he won a couple of weeks ago. This will be a bigger test, but I think he's certainly got the reminds you of Goshen, but I think he jumps better than Goshen. So I think he's rock solid.
Yeah, Adagio might come here as well.
Yeah.
Gordon Elliott was meant to bring one of his potential stars over. I think Dufflecoat and Quilixios were ended. We won't have that kind of Irish British kind of cross form line. I think we'll probably have to wait till Cheltenham now to actually see them race each other.
Yeah, definitely.
He's odds on. You can see why he's hacked up last twice at Fonteville. The Goshen comparisons are plain to see, and this is an obvious step towards that, isn't it? Grade 1 company. Yeah.
A few races to mention at Leopardstown on the 27th. We've got the Paddy Rewards Chase, where Shacham Persois will be coming back 1-2 against the likes of Notebook. I think if Shacham Persois jumps, Shacham Persois will win.
Yes, I would expect him to. He's again, the price is off putting a little bit.
Yeah.
Notebook has learned how to settle a little bit from last time. He was held up and he picked off Fakir Duduri quite well. This is another big step up. Shacham Persois also has a run under his belt, which you'd expect him to improve from. So, yeah, interested if Min comes here. Don't think he will, but
I don't think he will either.
Ruby Walsh didn't entirely dismiss it over the weeks, so that would add definitely even further interest to this race. But I still think they'd be keen to split up Min and Shacham Persois for as long as possible. Maybe they'll meet in the Dublin Racing Festival.
We'll move on to the novice hurdle at Leopardstown, where I've looked at the market and Appreciate It and Ballyadam are in the market. I don't know if they're both going to run, but if they do, that could be a potentially great race to watch if they both turn up. It's about 7-4 Appreciate It, 15-8 Ballyadam. Would you have a preference in that race?
Kescon Risk for Joseph O'Brien against them. Just at the prices, I think.
Yeah.
Debut. I would be keen to take two of them on. I Appreciate It. You might want a bit further for me, but again, the Fairley Hall situation, they are Willie Mullins' yard will be looking for the Supreme to kind of emerge from somewhere. He's obviously a leading name, and he might be able to do it. On debut, he managed to win over 2 miles when he probably looked in the need of further. I'd expect him to try and be quite forward. I think utilise his stamina from the front, try and drag the finish out of Ballyadam.
Do you think they'll both go here?
I think they will.
I hope so.
It's an interesting race. Ballyadam sets a standard, but it's a very tentative one at the moment, I think. And I think they're both quite short, and I'll be taking Joseph's horse against him, Kescon Risk. Yeah,
I've got a wee bit for. I think if Ballyadam was to win this and win it well, then I think he'll justify favouritism finally for the Supreme. But I'm going to go against him. I'm going to stick with my pick. I'm going to go for Ngolo. I think Ngolo reminds me of Champagne Fever. I think he's just going to battle, and I think if he's in contention towards the last, I think it could be very, very hard to oppose. But the Paddy Power Chase is the final race, the 27th. We're going to touch on. I don't have a massive view on this. There's not a lot of horses screaming out to me, but is there anything for you that you like the look of?
Yeah, Milan native. I think he's screaming out to win one of these big handicaps somewhere down the line. If he turns up, he's got a big enough weight. He's quite interesting. I backed Fitzhenry in this last year, and we get caught in the line by
Ronan Bill.
Gutton. He's still well handicapped enough to run quite well. It's the usual kind of exposed staying sorts that are in this race, and it's a good handicap. It's always a good handicap to watch, and with a view of the Irish national down the line, there might be something unexposed that comes in that does well. But yeah, I've been inclined to back Milan native, I think.
We'll move on to the 28th, and then we've got two excellent races this day. We've got the Saviles Chase at Leopardstown. Manel Lando about 2-1, Presenting Percy 4-1, Delta Work 9-2. We thought we were going to see Cham, but obviously the travel bans put a stop to that. I think Manel Lando is. I think obviously he's been I would say he's probably our Gold Cup horse right now. I think we both probably agree on that. But he could stake a massive claim for the Gold Cup if he wins this.
He could, yeah. This is him now stepping into Grade 1 company.
Yeah,
the big boys, and his favourite. He is probably the right favourite on all form we've seen this year, but he's too short for me in this race.
Think so?
Yeah, I just think he's a novice coming into. If he ran well in a graded race beforehand, then albeit he'd be favourite. But he's up against some horses that are rated high 170s. He's rated 165 with a potential obviously to improve. There's a few in here that are very, very smart on their day. But the one I quite like is the defending champion Delta Work. Who was beat last season down Royal by an absolute mile. This season he was only beaten 6 lengths. He always needs a reappearance run. He loves Leopardstown. He won the Lexus last year. He won the Irish Gold Cup last year. Yeah. And he's 5-1. I think that's a big price.
If I was opposing Manel Lando, I would go with Presenting Percy. I think that I took a lot of confidence from his run against Ken Boy a couple of weeks ago. So, but I think Manel Lando. I just take Manel Lando. I think he's won an Albert Bartlett. He should have won an RSA. He's been pretty much faultless over fences, apart from that last jump at Cheltenham last year. So, I think he's got the type to improve, and I think he's certainly. I think he's probably the right favourite. But we'll move on to the Christmas Huddle. This could be a great race. We've got Sire de Belly at 2-1, Ronald Pump 4-1, and Fury Road 9-2. This could be a very good race. But I think Sire de Belly to stake a claim for the Stairs Huddle. I think this will be the race he needs to win.
Yeah, I think he will win it. Fury Road, I think, is intriguing. Ronald Pump also has a chance to be. These are 3 very, very good horses in their own right, and to oppose the 3 British horses that we've just seen the week before as well. So we might have 6 very good staying prospects at least. That adds a lot of spice to a division that was seriously lacking for a year or 2 perhaps. And we just had Paisley Park and that was it really. It's an interesting race. I think Sire de Belly would be my preference at the moment.
Yeah, I think Sire de Belly as well. I think the Great White Sharks potentially got an entry in this as well. If he turns up, I think he's about 10-1. He could be a very good each way chance. But we'll move on to the 29th. We've got the 3 Mile Novices Chase where we're going to see the return of Monkfish. I think Monkfish is about 4-7. I think he's going to win here.
Yeah, so there. I can't see anything really worrying him in that race.
I think Pencil for the Lead's the only one I would say is potentially a difficult opponent, but if he goes there, I think he's got another entry as well, but I think Monkfish. We'll move on to the Matheson Huddle, which is the big race, the 29th, where we'll see the rematch between San Ra and Abracadabras. Now, this could be very, very interesting because I think San Ra, if San Ra's ridden a lot closer to the pace, I think it'll be very, very hard to beat here because you know about me and Abracadabras, I think he's a bit overrated, but I think San Ra here, I think he's going to bounce back.
He could. I think this is a market that's looking at the champion Huddle too much and ignoring this race. I think it's a market that's priced up. It's priced up in a way that it's suggesting what horse can beat Epitaph rather than which horse is going to win this race.
Yeah.
For what Sandra has done, he should not be 13-8 favourite for this. He just shouldn't be. You've got Sharjah, who's second in a champion Huddle, rated 164. Sandra is rated 157. There's a £7 difference. Sharjah's won this race before. He's 8-1, and St. Ra is 13-8.
Yeah, Sharjah's price is crazy.
You know where my money's going. It's just that price alone. If he gets beat, he gets beat. And if St. Ra could be the real deal, it could be the real deal.
Yeah.
13-8, I don't want to find out. And I'd rather back Sharjah each way 8-1, particularly if we get a bare 8. No, we've only got 7, but PT Mouchouar's going to set a reasonable pace.
Do you think Aspire Tower going here? Do you think? If he has, he's a chance? Yeah. I think he's a chance.
He's got a chance. Henry de Bromhead targets this meeting quite well.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't put anyone off him at 9-2. I'd rather back him at 9-2 than St. Ra as well at 13-8.
Yeah, I just think San Ra. I think with the Morgiana, I think that obviously we knew he'd just get beaten the leg. Obviously, Abacadabra's. He was coming to beat Abacadabra, so I think Mark Walsh will be riding him a lot closer to the pace. So I think there will be a massive improvement from him. Whether he wins, I don't know. But again, you've just mentioned Sharjah there, and I'm thinking, yeah, Sharjah won this last year and was very impressive in it last year when we were all thinking Classical Dream was the next big thing. But I think
it's a market based on coulds rather than form.
Yes, correct.
St. Ra could be the best here quite easily. You could make an easy case, as you have, to suggest that he's got the most improvement coming. But from all known form perspective,
Abacadabras, I don't know. I think Abacadabras isn't going to win a battle. I don't think. He's not going to win a battle. And I think you've got likes of Sharjah, Aspire Tower, who's already beaten him in a battle this year. He's just a bridle. Abacadabra's a bridle horse, and I just think all these would need to bomb out for Abacadabras to really, really win it. Really, really win it well. I think anyway. And it's too good a race for that, I think.
Yeah, I quite like him still. I think if he's ridden late and fast, he could win. I think they all could win, to be honest. And I think the market doesn't really reflect it. I wouldn't really pity Mouchouar a chance or Beacon Edge a chance. Saldi wouldn't be out of it, in my opinion.
Definitely.
I think the top 5 of the market should be a lot closer than they are.
Yeah, I think that as well. But it's going to be a very, very interesting race. Very, very interesting meeting. I'm just going to ask you your best bet out of the whole Christmas period. What you got?
I think I'll probably Delta Work in the Saviles Chase.
I'm going to go for the big breakaway and the Cottlestar Novices Chase. And that was your look at the Christmas period racing. We will move on to our Ante Post Picks, and I will just put them up on the screen just now. We've got a good few to talk about. Callum, what's the one out your Ante Post Picks you would say you're very, very pleased with so far?
That has to be the double now. I think it's 7-2.
Yeah, it's going to go shorter this week when Shishken bolts up.
It's getting cut, and as long as that continues, and that's fine by me. Yeah, it has to be that. I'm still kind of on value hunt mode. I'm still surprised Bellaway is 5-1. Yeah, I think he should be shorter, but all the rest are value picks, and if some of them go by the wayside, then so be it. I think you have to accept that. That's why you pick them at that price. But yeah, I'm happy enough at the moment.
I like my Bobollinger pick. I think it's just been further improved. I'm going to stick with that. But we'll move on to this week's Ante Post Picks. We'll start off with Callum. What we got?
I'm still in value mode. Delta Work for the Gold Cup at 25-1.
Right. Okay.
I'm not saying he's going to win. I'm just saying that he's too big.
Yeah. Oh, he's far too big. Yeah.
He went off 11-2 last year. He was out the back in a slowly run race that never never really suited him at all. He can never quite get into it. He was only beaten 6 lengths at the end. He's only a 7-year-old, so he's got scope to improve. He's won twice at Leopardstown, and if there's a similar campaign this year, he's not going to be 25 to 1.
Yeah.
I think that he's probably going to be in the 10 to 1, 12 to 1 bracket.
Yeah, definitely.
Priced accordingly, with presenting Percy at 16 to 1 at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I expect a big run from Christmas. Trainer Gornella has compared them to Don Cossack. And while that might be a bit of a stretch, he does have Cheltenham form as well. He's won a Perthump final. He ran really well behind Santini and top of the game in an RSA.
Yeah,
he's a strong stayer. I think he'll be very unlucky if he gets another falsely run Gold Cup again. I question Santini's ability to find when it really gets tough. I think Delta Work could come and beat him if it's a big, massive stamina test. I just think he's overpriced personally.
Yeah. I loved him in the novice chaser. I think his performance to beat Larisburg in the Drinmore was up there with the top novice chase performance. I just think his only 2 disappointing jumping performances have been at Cheltenham. Now, is Cheltenham his track? We don't know, but I would definitely say he's overpriced. I think if he wins the Saviles and he wins the Irish Gold Cup, he's certainly not going to be 25 to 1. So it's a very good pick.
There were some sticky jumps, but again, I think it was because he didn't have the tactical speed to be prominent.
I think that as well. Yeah,
and he didn't have his regular rider. Apparently, he goes really well with Jack Kennedy on board.
Mm-hmm.
He had Mark Walsh on him for the Gold Cup. He had, I think, pretty sure Davy Russell.
Davy Russell rode him in the RSA. Yeah.
RSA. I'm hoping that Jack Kennedy will maintain that partnership for the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully that the horse and jockey's fit in that instance. He seems to get the best tune out of him.
Mm-hmm. I hope so. I think a very good pick from you. I'm going for something in the RSA, and I'm going for at 12 to 1 the big Breakaway. And I think I can see Callum kind of confused with that, but I'm just thinking Monkfish is going to be very hard to beat. We know that, but if the big Breakaway shows the potential I think he's got in the Cottle Star this week, I don't think he's going to be 12 to 1. I think he's going to be easily 5 to 1, 6 to 1 second favourite to if he shows what I think he's got in his locker. What he showed the first time at Cheltenham over fences was very, very good. We knew last year he needed fences and he needed a trip. I think we're going to see a lot of improvement in him in Boxing Day, and I think 12 to 1 is a big price for him in the RSA. So I'm going to go for the big Breakaway. What do you think of that?
He's not for me at all, but I'll never knock anyone from opposing a horse that they like. You know, it's your opinion, it's your money. So yeah. I just think
if he jumps and travels the way, I think he travelled pretty well in last year's Ballymore. I think get caught for a bit of speed, but we could tell then he needed 3 miles. 3 miles at Kempton, it's going to suit him. He reminds you a bit of Mike Bite. Obviously, Mike Bite fell at the last when he was up in the Cottle Star, but I think he's definitely 12 to 1's a bit too big for him for the RSA. So I'm going for the big Breakaway. I think he's
it's fair enough. I mean, it's a race that I don't think there's too many alternatives.
There's not a lot below that. I'm thinking, he's a contender. Monkfish is the right favourite. I'll no doubt Monkfish is the right favourite, and he'll probably go even shorter this week. But the big Breakaway, I think he's certainly the best of the rest in my mind. So I think I'm going to get him in there now while 12 to 1's still there, because it's a good bit of value, I think. And that is our Ante Post Picks. That'll do us for this week. I want to thank Callum again for joining us in the show.
Thanks, pleasure. Have a good Christmas.
You as well. Just wish all of you a Merry Christmas and a profitable 4 days. We will be back on the 30th to recap all the week's racing over Christmas, where we will also be we'll follow our social media page as well, because every day we'll be posting tips, we'll be posting all types of previews about the races as well. So we'll definitely be keeping you in the loop. So thanks very much for watching, and we will see you next Wednesday. Thanks very much, everyone.